Hello, guys. Welcome back to another Rebels podcast. If you are a Patreon watching this, I am so sorry. I'm so late on this podcast. This was meant to be going up in November for you guys, but because of the pop-up, I honestly struggled for time, so I do apologize. However, we are here. You will be seeing another podcast this month if you're a Patreon, and I have a very special guest, my first ever guest on this podcast, which I'm so excited for. But that's not what we're here today. That's not what we're here today. That's not why we're here today, I should say. If you're watching this on YouTube, hello, welcome. If you want to have early access to all these podcasts, then I'd highly recommend you come in to join us over on the Rebels Patreon. We would love to have you there. Now, let's talk about what we'll be chatting about in this podcast, and that is pressures of running a small business, part one. There are so many I could talk about, so I'm kind of putting them in parts. We don't know when the next part will come, but it'll be in the new year. However, I wanted to start by two kind of things that I struggle with, the pressures that I feel, well, two of the pressures of many. And like always, I get scared to talk about these things, but also I feel alone and I want to voice it. And if there's anyone else out there that kind of feels like me, then we won't feel alone together and we can chat about it and so on, so on. So as always, I've got my notes next to me because otherwise I will just go on and it'll end up being the most boring podcast. I was going to say podcast then, podcast. Right, let's talk about posting orders. The pressures of posting orders as a small business. If you're a fellow small business and you're doing this solely by yourself, posting orders, I find really, really hard. It's because nowadays we have we have Amazon, we have bigger companies and people that have, more than themselves helping that company. When people can get orders sent out really, really quickly, I'm jealous. I wish I could do that. I really, really struggle with it. It's something that I'm going to focus heavily on next year to kind of put it into my structure and make sure it's all structured properly, because I hate it when I'm late on sending orders if I haven't made something up, because a lot of things I have to make whilst the orders come in because I just don't have the space or the room for it all to stock it all up. And then it's usually whenever I'm like late on something or I need to make something for an order, my sticker machine won't cut properly or my printer starts to fudge up, and it's just always that way. Is anyone else like that when you're in like a rush to get things done? Things just don't like to help you in that rush. They like to add more stress into the rush. Do you get where I'm coming from? But yeah, sometimes it just takes me longer to pack orders. Sometimes I can get them out the next day. Sometimes it's a few days later, and I always feel really bad. I feel like a failure. And if I can't get them out on time, then yeah, I'm just like, this is how I feel. I'm going to lose all my customers and no one's ever going to want to order from me again. However, I need to start reminding myself that I am doing this all by myself. I'm not just selling online and packing orders. There is all the other jobs that you have when you run your own small business, but I'm still struggling with it. Is anyone got any tips on how to kind of combat this, or is anyone out there who feels like this as well? I really think it's about structure and making sure my structure is in place. So, on certain days of the week, I make products, I count stock. On other days of the week, I dedicate days to packing orders. I think I'm also just scared because I could change my shipping times, but I'm scared to do that because I'm like worried that people will go on there and go, oh, 2 to 3 days for first class or stuff like that. And oh my God, honestly, thinking about it gives me terrible anxiety because I don't want to let anyone down, and I don't want to let the people that are supporting me down and ordering from my shop. Oh, it's such a battle in my head, and yeah, I just like anything. I just like to voice it out because otherwise I'm just keeping it in my head all the time. But I'll have days where I don't feel very well. And it happened a lot when I had my endometriosis. I had days where I couldn't work, so I couldn't pack orders and they were already a couple of days late because I was working my part-time job. And I remember Tom was like, Beck, if you're not well, please rest. And it's so true, because if you keep working through the whole, like if you're not feeling very well, or if you've got chronic health conditions and you're working through that, then it'll just make it worse and you'll end up having to spend more time away because you haven't rested during the time that you were meant to, you know? But at the same time, I'm just there like, oh, I can't. I have to do it. I have to do it. Otherwise, my business will fail. I won't get orders anymore and people will just not like me. I think I've spoken about this in the whole small business like jealousy podcast. I have a thing about people not liking me. It scares me. It worries me. And yeah, that's just like one of the things that I think of if I don't get things done. Like I look at my peers that are able to get their orders out really, really quickly. I have to say, I have never had a complaint, but I'm like, in my head, I'm like, let's just make sure it just doesn't happen. I've never had someone be like, having a bit of like a rant or a go because I haven't got it to them as quick as possible kind of thing. I haven't had that off anyone, so I'm really, really grateful for that. However, I've got a feeling that as my business grows, I will get things like people like that, and I would like to be in a place where I could really say it's fine, I got it sent out when during this time frame. Whereas right now I would blame myself terribly because I know sometimes I'm late on those orders. Am I making any sense? I really hope so. It's just all the stuff that goes on in my head. And I have spoken about ADHD before. I am not diagnosed. I have self-diagnosed myself, and I don't know how you guys feel about that. Honestly, I don't really care in the sense of what other people think, because because I've self-diagnosed myself with it, I feel so much more accepting about myself. And I've spoken to a lot of people that have ADHD, and I've spoken, and they've like been like, oh my God, yes. And also, anyway, I'm not going to go down that route because we're not here to talk about that, how I kind of figured out if I had it. But I believe I have ADHD, and that's what affects also, I think, posting orders and loads of other things when it comes to running my business. And it's hard. And that's why I spoke about structure, why I think next year I really need to focus on structuring my time for my orders and making products, so I'm not in this predicament where I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got all this stuff to do, I haven't got time to make orders, or oh, I haven't, like my sticker machine isn't working, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world, I'm going to cry in a corner and just waste my day crying, because we've been there many times before. And it's just, yeah, I think it's just one of the pressures that really get to me, because posting orders and people getting their orders is so, so important when you're running a product-based business. Yeah, let me know in the comments if anyone else struggles with that kind of stuff. I would love to know. If you don't, or you have like a structure in place, or you have any tips, also, please let me know, and others, if other people are feeling like this as well. Okay, I'm going to talk about another pressure that I have, but it's a pressure that, like packing orders, obviously, but it's a pressure that I love, but I don't at the same time. It's a very, very weird relationship with this. And talk about relationship, it's actually about customer relations. Oh, and I know this is an ADHD thing because I get too overwhelmed. Basically, I get so many amazing messages over on Instagram. Like, when I get a message, I feel so grateful that people, I get a lot of messages about YouTube and just me and my business. And then I get messages from my small business friends, and it's amazing. However, as soon as I go through them all, they pile back up again. And I struggle, and I feel like the most terrible person if I haven't replied to them in quite a long time. I've had messages that I haven't replied to within a week, maybe 2 weeks. And as soon as I go out, like go for a break. Last week, I went away for my dad's birthday. We went to one of the Celtic Manor lodges. Oh, it was lush. It was my time to just spend 2 days relaxing, no work. And I remember sitting there, and a message came up from one of my small business friends. And bearing in mind, I said to Tom, like 2 seconds before this message came up, like, I'm gonna put my phone on airplane mode and not reply to anyone. I think I did it wrong. And then a message came up, and Tom was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm replying. He said, if they are messaging you once, just whilst you're away, come back to it. If it's urgent, they will keep messaging you. And that is so true, because that's helped me loads now. However, it doesn't stop me from feeling the biggest guilt when I haven't replied to people. My small business friends totally understand, because we are friends. They know me. However, when it's people that have come over from YouTube or have seen a reel or whatever, and they want to connect, and I want to connect with them as well, because I love connecting with new people, whether it be customers, whether it be fellow small business owners. I love it, but I feel, like the worst person if I don't reply to them straight away. However, when I go to look at my messages and there's, 20 plus, at the end of the day, I'm just like, I can't do it, because I've been on my screen all day with business, with the shop and everything. At the end of the night, I want to just either watch something on TV or just even flick through whatever, where I'm just like this, because I want to reply to every message with as much energy that I have. And then at the end of the day, I don't have that energy. So I'm just looking at it like, I don't want to give them a half-assed reply. Like, I want to make sure that they are heard, and that I am really listening to them and giving them, the right message back. This is everything that goes on in my head. Is there anyone else that gets like this when it comes to customer relations and replying to messages and comments? Like, I get some incredible comments on YouTube. I have to say, I do use them every Monday to reply to my YouTube comments. So again, this is probably a structure thing where I have to include replying to Instagram messages a couple of days a week, put it into my structure of the week. And I know it will help, but yeah, sometimes it's too much for me, and I just don't know how to do it. So I want anyone that's watching this, whether you're on Patreon or YouTube, I love receiving messages, love them. I love connecting with the people that support me. However, if I don't reply for a while, please know that it's not because I'm a horrible person and I don't want to reply back to you. It's just because I'm struggling with dealing with it all, because it's not just your message that I'll get. It'll be other messages that I have to reply to. And again, I think it's with the ADHD, it gets too overwhelming for me, and I can't. And I feel like I said, I owe you a really good reply, and sometimes I just don't have it in me. So yeah, please don't let that stop you from messaging me. I just want you to know that sometimes it just takes me a little bit longer. But is there anyone else out there that's like that? And how do you feel? Or because I know some people can be like, it doesn't matter if I don't reply, like I reply when I reply. Oh gosh, I wish I could think like that, but I can't. I need some water because I'm getting anxious in here. They're my two big pressures when it comes to running a business. Let me know in the comments if you relate to this, if it's something that you struggle with, or like I said, if you've got tips on how to combat all of this kind of stuff, I would love to know. But yeah, I just wanted to voice out a few things, how I feel, because they are a daily thing, like posting orders and replying to messages. They're a daily kind of struggle for me, where I have to, remind myself that it's okay, and that you're doing this by yourself, and just be kind to yourself. But sometimes I just find that really hard, and sometimes it just doesn't sink in, But I wanted to voice it out to you guys, because as always, these podcasts are there for me to be honest with my feelings and how I feel and how other people can feel running a small business by themselves. And I'm basically just coming out of my comfort zone and just blurting it all out to you. So thank you for listening to me. That is the end of this podcast. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that if you are feeling the way I'm feeling, you don't feel alone in it anymore. That's the one thing that I want from these podcasts, is for people to be like, oh, it's not just me, Other people are dealing with what I'm dealing with, and So, right. I'm going to love you and leave you. Like I said, the next podcast now will have the first ever guest on this Rebels podcast, small business podcast. It'll be our first ever guest. Let me know in the comments if you can guess who it is. I'm so excited. And we're going to be talking about something very close to the both of us. And I know it's something that this person hasn't spoken loads and loads about. And I'm really grateful that they've agreed to this. So I'm really, really excited. So if you're watching this on YouTube, come and join us over on Patreon to watch it before everyone else, before it comes out onto YouTube. Patrons, be ready for it. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you very soon, really, for another Rebels podcast. Bye, guys.